Hello and welcome back to Gapeys Garden. Today I'm going to show you all of my variegated plants that I have around the garden. Some of them are fruits and vegetables, others are some landscape plants I have in the front yard. But I just love variegated plants, and if you do too and have any suggestions on things I might want to add to my garden, please let me know. We're going to start with my favorite thing to grow every year, and that is peppers. This one here is, actually there's three of them, are my Tangerine Tiger, which is a cross between the Ahi Tangerine and the Sugar Rush Stripe. So these were grown by Rob at 7 Pot Club last year, and he sent me some seeds from his variegated plant. It is the first time that we've seen variegated Tangerine Tigers come up, and he sent me some of those seeds, and I decided to grow, I actually grow 4 of them, but 3 of them are here in the ground in this bed. I was going to keep them in containers, but it was just getting to be too much maintenance trying to keep them watered and fed, so I decided to finally get them in the ground. I think it was a couple weeks ago. They seem to be doing great here in the ground. The variegation is very prominent. However, there are some leaves that come out not variegated, and sometimes I do just kind of remove those so that I keep more of the variegation. But for the most part, they are pretty well variegated. When they first germinated, the leaves were very, very mutated. Some of them are a little bit more normal looking, but there's still quite a few mutated leaves, like this one here. But it's just a very different and unique plant, which is really exciting. It is getting quite a few flowers. You can see one of the flowers is open here. It's kind of white with a little bit of kind of a greenish yellow interior, which is pretty common for Bacchitums, I believe. But we don't have any pods set so far. I believe his did get stripes when he grew it last year, so hopefully those stripes come through on these ones. I want to show you just one more Tangerine Tiger. This one was from a completely different source. This was from Craig Jennings. His pepper actually did not have any variegation last year, but he has been sending out seeds from one plant in particular, which is his plant number 4 that he saved seeds from last year. And a lot of people were reporting getting variegated leaves on their seedlings from the seeds from this particular plant that he grew last year. So I decided to grow, I think I've got 4 of these in the ground, and as you can see, it's not variegated at all. But I noticed just the other day that we do have one single leaf way down here at the bottom that has some variegation, so that is looking pretty promising. And I'm not seeing any variegation at all on the rest of the plant or any of the other Tangerine Tigers that I grew from those seeds. So I will probably, well, we'll wait and see what the pods look like on this one. It hasn't said any, I don't think, but if the pods turn out striped, I think I may try growing, at least saving some seeds from this one and growing it again next year, and hopefully we'll get more variegation. Now we're here in the greenhouse where I have the majority of my peppers, but I want to show you this one in particular. So this one is called Ninfadora, and it is a Chinense variety and might be the first Chinense variety that has been variegated. I know a lot of people are crossing peppers using this particular variety and coming out with variegated plants, so there's probably quite a few variegated Chinense varieties now because of that. But this came from Baus Grows. He's the one that sent me seeds for it last year. The leaves on this one are very regular looking compared to my Tangerine Tiger that I just showed you, except for I am getting a little bit of leaf curl here on some of the leaves. But it's got a few flowers, but there aren't any pods set on this one just yet. But it's a very short plant, as you can see, compared to my other Chinense varieties that are around it. It's probably barely 5 or 6 inches tall at this point, but it's supposed to be a pretty small plant and only get up to about 2 feet tall from what I've read. Now here we've got a variegated tumbling tomato variety, which I believe is the only one in existence. It's called Shimo Fury, and it is a very cool looking tomato plant, and it's got some tomatoes starting to set on it. It is a cherry tomato variety, and I think they will turn red eventually, but it's got quite a few flowers on it, and I'm really excited about this one. Well, the lettuce is all bolting now, but you can kind of see the variegation in the leaves. This variety is called Morton's Secret Mix that I got from Experimental Farm Network. But I'm letting it go to seed because I don't think they sell this variety anymore, and I really, really, really like it. So I want to be able to save some seeds so I can grow it again because I'm getting a little bit low on seeds. But it has a few different kind of forms. This one is kind of more of a romaine shape, and then we've got another one over here. This one ended up getting more of a head shape, and then we've also got, they call it a mix because it's not a consistent variety. But this other one here, this one was more, it has more ruffled leaves, which I want to be able to grow all these different ones. So I'm letting them all go to seed so I can grow it again next year. One more thing I have in the backyard garden is a Seakale. This variety is called Billington Seakale, and I got it from Experimental Farm Network. But it's not advertised as being a variegated variety, but I started, I think, 5 of these last February, and for some reason one of them came out variegated. So you can see some of the kind of yellowish variegation in a lot of these leaves. Not all of the leaves have variegation, like this one here doesn't. Also, this is planted right next to the chicken run, and they like to munch on it as it gets close to the fence there, which I don't mind. I look forward to trying it, which I have to admit I have not done yet. Now the rest of the variegated plants I have are in the front yard and are more kind of landscape plants. This one here is a boxwood that has lost quite a bit of its variegation, but it still has some foliage that's variegated. There's some there. It looks like some of the new leaves are coming out with a little bit of variegation. The new leaves are a lot lighter colored than the dark leaves. There's some older leaves down here with a little bit of variegation, but hopefully we start seeing more variegation on these new leaves that are coming out. This is a rhododendron, or rhodie as they're called, and they are very popular here in the Pacific Northwest, but this particular variety has some variegation on its leaves, although not all of them have it. Looks like it's starting to grow out of that variegation, unfortunately. But I have a few of these around the yard that were planted by the previous owners, but I thought it was a really pretty neat variety. This is the newest plant in our variegated collection. This is a silver rose scented geranium, and we've got a couple flowers there. But we picked this up at Lee Farm and Nursery about a month ago, and it has a little bit different variegation. The variegation is more kind of on the edges of the leaves, so it's got kind of a white all around the outside of the leaves, which is really pretty. Now this here is Pulmonaria, or lungwort as it's also called. This is a perennial medicinal plant, although I haven't ever used it for any medicinal purposes, but it is a different kind of variegation. It's kind of more spotted, but it does get some pretty flowers a little earlier. I think it flowered last month or maybe the month before, but I mainly got it for its foliage because it's just, well, you know. This here is a variegated vine we picked up at a local plant swap. It's called Winter Creeper. It seems to be pretty slow growing. I planted it probably, I don't know, 5 years ago maybe, but this is all it's grown. I think this is the last of the variegated plants, and I came across this last year. Just this one single sedum is variegated in, I've got a ton of sedums all over the place, but for some reason I only have this one that's come out variegated, and it doesn't seem to want to spread. I was hoping when I saw it last year it might spread some, but I haven't seen any more, unfortunately. I hope you enjoyed the variegated tour around my garden. If you have any suggestions at all on variegated plants I've got to try, please let me know because I'm always looking for more. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.